Good morning. Good morning, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And welcome to another episode of the Happiness is Real morning show. I'm your host, Camilla Calberg. I'm the founder of Calberg Coaching, and I'm a transformational coach. At Calberg Coaching, we help executives like you help you thrive before, during, and after divorce. And this episode is brought to you just by Calberg Coaching. Today, I'm gonna talk about how to help your child or children heal that trauma or traumatic experience of having been in a bad family environment. Sometimes some people also call it a toxic environment, but it's a bad family environment, or they actually is stuck in a high conflict divorce case. So with this, let's dive into that. And as always, if you want to show up, and I know that this is and what I talk about, it's a sensitive, it's sensitive topics. So it's okay not to share comments live, but I appreciate all the comments that I get, like from backstage. So keep sending those to me. But if you want to engage and share your experiences and what resonates with you, do so during our live today. And the only way I know that you is to indicate that you're here, either with a wave, thumbs up, or whatever. All right. So let's dive into this episode. And for me, it's a very important topic, but it's also, for me, a heavy topic. As I normally do, I go in and share about my own experiences, and also how I learned it the hard way, and how you can do it a much easier way. So, how do you help your children or your child heal from that trauma of being stuck in a toxic family environment, or bad family environment, or high conflict case, divorce case? And so often, so like, as by 99, if not 100% of all of us, of adults who go through divorce, we are the main or the key player in this game. You are whatever main actress you like, you are that person, or actor. You are that person. And you cannot direct the movie at the same time. You cannot be the artist. You cannot. And that's why it's so difficult to see and help your children heal the trauma. And but it's also very important to know about how you can help them. So let give me an example of what I did, and what I learned the hard way. As what most maybe resonates with you, I was stuck in worry. My mental health deteriorated. I could pull off my hair. I looked miserable. I lived my mediocre life. I really was so stuck in worry, anxiety, fear. Not grief. I didn't get such grief, but I was so worried was about the future, what was supposed to come. Oh, I didn't know what was coming, but I knew something was coming, and I knew, I had my sense that it was not something really nice coming. All right. So that's where I was. At the same time, if you follow me, my body reacting now. If you followed me this week, you also know that my daughter said, "Mommy, my heart is crying." And how can you help your children heal if you haven't healed? So that was the situation I was in. And I knew she was very loud, vocal about it, that she needed help. But she expressed it in her own way, saying, "Mommy, my heart is crying." And so what I did was, I worked, and I say that I worked very closely with the school. And they were also amazing people. But what I come to understand and learn, when you deal with a high conflict divorce case or a bad family environment, it takes a lot of education and training, rehearsal to navigate in this space. And our what I know to be true is that that is not what our teachers are trained to do. They do that best they can, but like really, when the tough gets going, they are not the right people to help you. And I realized that I realized it the hard way. I realized when And my daughter was telling me, my body reacting now, telling me the other day that now she's healed and she's so happy. She's like, she gets so many play date invitations and all that. But she told me, Mommy, I didn't like when the teachers were dragging me in to school. And that was another add on to her trauma basket, that saying goodbye to me at school was the worst thing she could ever imagine, because I was her trust. I don't know, I have the words right now, but I was the only one she trusted. I was the only one who gave her unconditional love. So she felt at home with me. And that's why they like pulling the papers together, or what do you tear the papers. It was really, really so painful each and every morning. And we had so many situations in the schoolyard where they were pulling her in, and I had to leave, and I was crying. She was crying. Terrible, terrible. All right. Then I reached out to a psychologist, and I just knew I couldn't wait for 3 months before I could go in for like a lower investment fee. So I just called all the psychologists in my area, and I was so lucky that was one spot. And it took me about a week to find this psychologist, and we just gone on. And yes, of course, my ex wouldn't support me, because he believed, and is still so, that I am the one who caused all this trauma. So he said, our daughter is fine. Okay, but she wasn't. So I decided to invest my own funds in my daughter. And it's something that I'm so proud of that I've done. So that was the first thing I'm going to talk about. Is like, get to listen to your to what your daughter is telling you, your child, your son is telling you, to act. Okay, then it comes to about trust. You get to find the right person that you trust, because when you are healing a trauma, when you're vulnerable, you have to trust that the one that you're working with can help you. I've been working with psychologists, therapists under a broader umbrella. I didn't trust. And because I didn't trust them, sorry, my dog is walking at the same time. Because I didn't trust them, I didn't open up. I didn't want to be vulnerable. I protected myself. And if you protect yourself, you put your money in the wrong in the wrong person, because it's actually you're investing in yourself, but the person that you decided to work with is not the right person to help you heal what needs to be healed. So, but I found then, so trust is so utterly important for you to heal fast. All right. So I had talked to a few psychologists, and I found this psychologist who I felt I could trust. I felt trust immediately. We sat in, and I could cry. I could share how worried it was. I could talk about being a burnt child, blah, 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 what I had learned from being with this person. And then I brought my daughter, and it was so nice and beautiful, because she was supposed, so I had some sessions and she had some other sessions together with me. It was actually supposed to be just her and the psychologist, but because she couldn't debond or decouple from me, I was in that room as well. And she did so elegantly build a relationship with my daughter. So I was facilitating trust, I was bridging trust, and my daughter dared opening up and telling the psychologist that she was afraid of her daddy. All right. So that was my body's responding right now. That is so important. Bridge. And what you have to, I get to rehearse, is to stay detached. Detached. You don't interfere in the conversation. If you're gonna cry, you cry like this. You really pretend as though you were a fly on the wall. It's rehearsal. It's rehearsal. It's tough. It's hard, but you get to do it, right? Because then that's the best thing you can do for your child. So actually that the two of those, like the psychologist or therapist and your child, they're together in the room, and you don't interfere unless you really feel that you can support this conversation. All right. So just want to bridge on the trust is that um, then I went to another psychologist, and I also felt at some point she was very good. But here's what happened. And that's what happened in many cases, what I've been in, or in the situation I've experienced, is that there comes a point where the therapist thinks more in the brain, in the head, stays in the head, and it goes down to the heart. So, and they want to control the situation. They want to control that. Of course, we know from the psychological perspective, the child has to have a relationship, or should have a relationship with the other parent, because that can cause a major trauma later on in life. I embrace that. But here's what we forget, what psychologists sometimes forget, because they're so into bridging between the parents, is that they don't listen to the children. And all right. So here's what I did. Because I built a very strong, not a relationship, but trust in this space with my daughter. And at that point in time, I also, as that time, I was a certified coach. So I had my coaching, I had my listening skills, I had my questioning skills. I could ask her what the biggest takeaways were from each session. And my daughter started to tell when at some point the relationship with the new psychologist started to break. My daughter said, Mommy, she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen what I'm telling her. She wants me to build a relationship with my dad. She wants me to trust my dad. My body's reacting now. But I don't trust daddy, Mommy. All right. So what do? You have to obviously be detached from the situation and listen. And that's what I did. I listened, and then I stepped in and I guided my daughter with love. And I can't cover everything I did in just a couple of minutes, but I did. I went in, and I actually took her subconsciously on my team as a client, and I helped her shift her energy, like going from these words that drained you from energy to help her redefine the situation, get a new perspective on the situation. I help her change the language. I help, like, the language, also the words. And if you followed me for a while, you know that the thoughts leads to feelings, leads to actions. And by massaging her, by guiding her with love and staying detached, I managed, and I'm so proud, but I managed to turn her around. So a few months later, when we came back to the psychologist, that time, when it was in August last year, we were thriving. Both of us, my daughter and myself, we were thriving. And the psychologist asked me, Camilla, what you done? What you done? And I said, what I done is just me. This is my living now. I help people thrive and heal the trauma. So I didn't. So I think sometimes it's also in the retrospect that you say, okay, what did I actually do? But I helped my daughter embrace and get a new reality, a perspective on life and the situation with her dad. And here's what's very, very beautiful is that then we moved house, and then we got to where we get to work with a new psychologist when we have the need for that. But so that we had to, and I did also do a post on that. We invited the psychologist home to say thank you very much for a wonderful journey, personal growth. And I did at that point in time, I had already pointed out that my daughter was not really satisfied with some of the support and some tools that she'd been given. And I shared that very openly and with love with my psychologist, or my daughter's psychologist, and she embraced that with open arms. So when she came into our home and when she visited us, it was so important for her to understand What could I have done differently? My body reacting now, responding now. I never heard that before from a psychologist. And my daughter, she was like ashamed. She said, "What can I really tell what I wanted to do differently?" And again, I stepped in that room and I facilitated the conversation. Like, and that is where I want to give you that is the trust and the listen and guiding with love, is that if someone comes in and say, but you have to love your dad, and but the daughter or your child hasn't healed the trauma, how on earth can we push someone to love someone else if you're afraid of that person? We would never put two adults in the same room and say, you're just gonna love each other now, you're just gonna work together. You as an executive, you're an executive project manager, you've run teams, you know that is not the right team dynamics. The same goes with the children, the same goes with the parents. And I can feel my it's like that is so important. And that's where, and I talked to my team just before going live, is that that's, for example, that's one of the things where I'm so different from psychologists or therapists, that I help you listen to what your children say, and then I help you bridge what to do differently. And what I learned is that embrace your situation, embrace with, and be grateful for all of those people who come and join your team to help you heal, because that's the end goal. That is the result, to help you create a better life. And then as you start working with them, you start to experience, okay, do I move in that direction as that best serves me? If you can't say yes to that question, you get the amazing opportunity to get someone else on your team. Isn't that amazing? And that's the beauty of it, to help your children heal the trauma. And I wish I had known this, when I say the tip or the trick about listening to your children, and then step into that with elegancy, step into that conversation and say, okay, what is good, what is not good, and then redefine the situation, get a new perspective on the situation. And then remember, if you followed me for a while, I talk about, do you go uphill or do you go downhill? Tell better feeling stories. Had I been a coach and I started up my business 7 years ago, I would have been a completely different place, and my daughter would have been a completely different phase. Anyway, she turns 8 in 2 weeks, and she's amazing now. And that's what happens when you work with people who really know how to give you the right tools that you can thrive and that you can help your children thrive. Ooh, that is so big. It is so big for me, because if you've known me for followed me for a while, children are so vulnerable when adults break up. And unfortunately, when we get into a family breakup or relationship breakup, if we don't get support, we act as children in the schoolyard. And I've been there myself, and I can't say I'm ashamed, because that is a catabolic, a draining word, right? But I think we have the opportunity here to work on ourselves to create much better situations for our children. That's as beautiful as it gets right now. So with this, I want to end this session. I really hope that f- whatever spoke to you, that you want to share that with me. It's so important to help, for me, to help you thrive and help your children thrive. So often what I say when I have one client on my team, it's not only that client I help, it's also if they have two children or three children. So I actually get the opportunity to work with four clients. And that's what makes my heart sing, that I actually help you create and get a better life. So that comes to the end of our show today. If you, and I'm so grateful that you stayed with me and followed me live or the replay. If you found any value in what I shared today, take a moment and drop me a comment, as well as a screenshot, and share this episode on your social platform with your loved ones, or to help your loved ones and friends thrive through major life transition like divorce. And remember, it's so important for me to say, happiness is real. And wherever you are in your divorce journey, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And your tunnel doesn't have to be as long as mine. It can be super, super short, when you get to work with the right people who know the strategies, the real tools that help you shift your energy, and so that your next chapter in your life will absolutely be the most amazing and more abundant that you have ever experienced. If I can do it, you can too. And I am so happy and thrilled and honored to be on your journey with you and help you support you through the process. This wraps up today's episode, and remember to tune in daily, Monday to Friday, for inspiration and practical tools to help you create a better, more joyful, and more abundant life before, during, and after divorce. And I'll say I'm challenged sometimes by this, but this is no, I say, excuse me, it's not a lie. I'm just gonna not gonna say the word. It is possible to tap into happiness, even though you are in the planning phase of divorce, when you work with the right people. It's all about mindset. It's all about considering divorce as a project. It's not the end of your life. And remember, if I can do it, you can too. With this, enjoy the rest of this beautiful Friday, where whenever you listen to this, either live or recorded, and we'll be back again on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Bye for now.